People called her many names. Street girl, man woman, Madam Muscle, bridge animal. But her real name was Zara. She was 25 years old, homeless, and stronger than most men who mocked her. Every morning, before the sun climbed fully into the sky, Zara woke up to the sound of engines and horns. The bridge above her sleeping spot roared like a restless beast, buses shaking its bones, motorcycles screaming through its veins, and heavy trucks coughing black smoke into the air. The smell of oil and dust mixed with the sour scent of the gutter nearby. She slept on flattened cartons beside an abandoned mechanic shop, using a torn army jacket as a blanket. Her pillow was a sack stuffed with old clothes. When rain fell, she curled into herself and prayed the wind would not steal her only protection. Her body was her shield. Years of lifting metal scraps, pushing broken cars, and carrying heavy loads had carved her muscles into hard lines. Her arms were thick and defined. Her thighs were powerful. Her back was broad and straight. To strangers, she looked like someone built for battle, not beauty. And yet, inside her chest lived a heart too gentle for the world she survived. Zara washed her face every morning with water from a nearby tap, tying her thick black hair into a low bun. She didn't own a mirror, but she knew what people saw when they looked at her. A tall, muscular woman in torn clothes, with scars on her knuckles and dust on her skin. She once had a home. She once had parents. But the fire that took her house also took her family, and the aunt who promised to care for her had sold her belongings and pushed her into the streets. "Go and be strong," the woman had said. "Your body is already strong. Use it." So Zara used it. She worked where she could, carrying cement, offloading bags of rice, scraping metal from junk piles. If a truck broke down, she helped push it. If a shopkeeper needed a heavy drum moved, she lifted it. Sometimes men laughed. "Are you sure you're not a man?" Sometimes women whispered, "No man will marry that one." Zara pretended not to hear. Hunger was louder than insults. That afternoon, the sun burned like fire poured from the sky. The road shimmered, and heat rose from the tar like invisible smoke. Zara had just finished dragging a sack of scrap metal toward a recycling truck when she noticed something strange near the roadside. An old man was standing still, gripping a walking stick. First, she thought he was waiting to cross. Then she saw his knees shake. He tried to step forward. He didn't make it. The stick fell first. Then the man followed, collapsing onto the pavement with a soft, broken sound. People noticed. Some slowed down. Some looked. No one stopped. "Maybe he's drunk," one man said. "Old people pretend sickness to beg," a woman muttered. Zara dropped her sack immediately. She ran. "Grandpa! Grandpa! Can you hear me?" She knelt beside him. His face was pale, his lips dry, and sweat rolled down his forehead in thick lines. His chest rose and fell too fast, like a bird trapped in a cage. "Sir," she said again, gently shaking his shoulder. "Talk to me." His eyes opened slightly. "My chest," he whispered. "It hurts." Zara looked around desperately. "Please help me," she called to passers-by. "He's not okay." A man waved her off. "I'm late for work." A woman pulled her child closer. "Don't touch strangers." Zara's jaw tightened. She slid one arm behind the old man's back and the other under his knees. "Hold on," she said softly. Then she lifted him. Gasps rose around them. "Ah, see her. She's carrying him like a bag of rice." The old man weighed less than the sacks she carried every day, but his fragile body made her careful. She walked fast, ignoring the stairs, sweat dripping down her temples, her arms trembling from the strain. The nearest clinic was almost a kilometer away. Her boots slapped the road. Her heart pounded in her ears, her lungs burned. By the time she reached the clinic gate, her shirt clung to her body with sweat. "Help!" she shouted. "Please help him." Nurses rushed out. They took the old man from her arms and placed him on a bed. Zara leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "Are you his daughter?" one nurse asked. "No," Zara replied. "I just found him." They looked at her suspiciously but went inside with the man. Zara waited. Her stomach growled. Her hands shook. Her clothes were dirty, and she could feel people's eyes judging her from across the room. After a long time, a doctor came out. "He's stable," the doctor said. "You saved him in time." Relief flooded her chest like cool water. "Thank God," she whispered. They allowed her to sit beside him when he woke up. The old man opened his eyes slowly and saw her sitting on a wooden chair, fanning him with a piece of cardboard. "You," he said weakly. "You carried me." She smiled shyly. "Yes, sir." "Why?" She shrugged. "You were in pain." He studied her face, then her arms, then her torn shoes. "What is your name, my child?" "Zara." "Where is your family?" She looked away. "The street is my family." His eyes filled with tears. "You could have left me there." "But I didn't," she said simply. He held her hand weakly. "God sent you to me." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick roll of money. "Take this," he said. "Please." Zara shook her head immediately. "No, sir." "Why not?" "Use it for your medicine. I can manage." He stared at her like he had never seen such a person before. He did not tell her who he was. He did not tell her that his son owned half the buildings in the city. He only said, "Thank you." When he was discharged later that evening, a car came to pick him up. A black car. Quiet. Expensive. Zara noticed it but said nothing. She walked back to her bridge. Her muscles ached. Her stomach was empty. Her shoes were wet with sweat. But her heart felt full. She lay down on her cartons that night and stared at the dark space under the bridge. "I did something good today," she whispered to herself. Above her, the bridge thundered. Below it, the city slept. And somewhere in a quiet house far away, the old man would tell his son about a homeless woman who lifted him from the road like a miracle. Zara did not know it yet, but the moment she chose kindness over fear, her life had already begun to change. The old man did not sleep that night. He lay on a wide bed covered in white sheets, staring at the ceiling of his quiet guest room while soft medical machines hummed beside him. Outside the tall windows, the city lights blinked like distant stars. His chest still ached, but not as much as his heart. He could not forget the girl. The image of her muscular arms lifting him from the road replayed again and again in his mind. Her torn clothes, her calm voice, her refusal of his money. Most people ran from him when he collapsed. Some thought he was a trickster. Some feared he would bring them trouble. But she had knelt beside him without hesitation. "What is your name, my child?" he whispered into the silence. "Zara." The name felt heavy in his mouth. Important. In the early hours of the morning, he reached for his phone and dialed a number he rarely used except in serious matters. "Ethan," he said when the line connected. "Are you awake?" His son's voice came through, deep and alert despite the hour. "Father? What's wrong?" "I fainted yesterday. On the road." There was a sharp pause. "What? Where were your guards?" "I went out alone," the old man said softly. "I wanted to walk like a normal man." "Are you okay?" "Yes, but someone saved me." "Who?" "A homeless girl." Silence followed. "A homeless girl carried me to the clinic," he continued. "She refused my money. Ethan, I have never seen such strength and kindness in one body." Ethan did not reply at once. His father rarely spoke with emotion like this. "Send someone to check on her," Ethan finally said. "She shouldn't be on the street." The old man smiled faintly. "I already did." Two men in simple clothes arrived at the bridge the next afternoon. They did not wear suits. They did not bring fancy cars. They blended into the crowd. They found Zara sitting on a broken crate, eating bread she had bought with her morning earnings. "She's the one," one whispered. They watched as she lifted a heavy metal drum for a shopkeeper without complaint. They watched as she gave part of her bread to a small boy with no shoes. They watched as she chased away two older boys who were bullying a street dog. "Strong body," one said. "Strong heart too." They reported back to Mr. Bernard that evening. "She works hard. She doesn't beg. She doesn't steal. She sleeps under the bridge." The old man closed his eyes. She carried me like a son would carry his father, he murmured. He wanted to see her again. Zara was surprised when she saw the old man return to the bridge area 2 days later. This time he did not walk alone. A driver waited in a black car nearby, pretending not to watch. Mr. Bernard wore simple clothes and leaned on his walking stick. "You shouldn't be here," Zara said when she noticed him. "The sun is too hot for you." He chuckled. "You sound like my mother." She brought him a plastic chair from a nearby kiosk and forced him to sit. "Did you take your medicine?" she asked seriously. "Yes, doctor," he replied playfully. They talked. He asked about her life. She answered carefully. "I used to live with my aunt," she said. "She said I was too big, too hard, too different. So she pushed me out." "Do you hate her?" "No," Zara replied. "Hate makes the body heavy." Mr. Bernard stared at her in silence for a long moment. "You are not meant for the street," he said. "The street is what I have," she answered. He gave her a bag of food and some money. This time she accepted only the food. "Promise me something," he said. "If I come again, you will talk to me." She smiled. "Old people like to talk. I will listen." He did not tell her his real name. He introduced himself only as Bernard. Back in his large house, surrounded by silence and expensive furniture, Mr. Bernard felt restless. The girl's strength reminded him of his late wife, who had once lifted sacks of grain with laughter in her youth. Her kindness reminded him of the days when people helped each other without asking for reward. He called Ethan again. "She is special," he said. "Not because she is poor, because she is good." Ethan listened quietly. "I want to meet her," he finally said. Mr. Bernard smiled. "But not yet," the old man added. "Let me understand her first." Weeks passed. Mr. Bernard visited Zara often, always in simple clothes. He brought fruits, sometimes bread, sometimes medicine. He watched how she treated others. Once, a drunk man tried to insult her. "You look like a man," he shouted. Zara stood up slowly, her muscles tightening under her torn shirt. "I look like someone who can lift you and throw you in the gutter," she said calmly. The crowd laughed. The man stumbled away. Mr. Bernard laughed too. "She is fearless," he told his driver later. Another day, rain poured suddenly. Zara pulled a piece of nylon over his head and stood in the rain herself. "You'll catch cold," he protested. "Cold is my friend," she replied. Each visit tied his heart more tightly to her. One afternoon, Zara noticed a strange man watching her from across the road. He wore a neat shirt and dark glasses and kept checking his phone. "Who is that?" she asked Mr. Bernard. "Probably a businessman," he said quickly, but she saw worry in his eyes. "You're hiding something," she said. He smiled gently. "Old men hide many things." That night, he told Ethan everything. "She trusts me," he said, "but she doesn't know who I am." "Tell her," Ethan suggested. "Not yet. I want her to like me for me, not for my money." Ethan sighed. "You sound like a young man." The old man laughed. One evening, Zara found Mr. Bernard looking tired. "Are you sick again?" she asked. "No. I am thinking," he said. "Thinking about what?" "About how strange life is. You saved me. I might save you." She frowned. "I don't need saving. Everyone does," he replied quietly. He stood up slowly and held her hand. "You have done something big without knowing," he said. She shrugged. "I just lifted an old man." He looked at her with eyes full of meaning. "You lifted more than that." That same night, after returning home, Mr. Bernard collapsed into a chair and pressed his hand against his chest. Not in pain this time, but in fear. What if he had died that day? What if Zara had walked past like everyone else? What if his son had never met a woman who loved without wanting wealth? He whispered into the empty room. "She must not remain there." He picked up his phone. "Ethan," he said, "tomorrow you are coming with me." "To where?" "To meet the woman who saved my life." Zara lay under the bridge that night, listening to the rain drum against metal and concrete. Her arms ached. Her back was sore. But her mind was busy. The old man had been different from the others. He did not look at her like she was trash. He did not treat her like a tool. He sees me, she thought. She hugged her torn jacket closer to her chest. Somewhere far away, a billionaire CEO prepared to meet a homeless muscular woman who did not know his name. And somewhere between their worlds, fate was quietly building a bridge. The black car arrived just after noon. It rolled slowly into the dusty roadside area near the bridge, smooth and silent, like it did not belong there. Its polished body reflected the sun so brightly that people shaded their eyes. Street hawkers paused. Motorcycles slowed. Even the shouting of bus conductors softened. Zara noticed it immediately. Luxury cars did not come to this place unless someone was lost. She had just finished lifting a metal container for a shop owner when she saw the old man step out of the back seat. He wore a simple brown shirt and leaned on his walking stick. Behind him stepped a tall man in a dark suit. Zara froze. He did not look like anyone she had ever seen up close before. He was about 32, broad-shouldered but slim, with calm eyes and a face that seemed carved from quiet confidence. His hair was neatly trimmed. His shoes shone like mirrors. Everything about him spoke of money, power, and a life far away from hers. "Good afternoon, Zara," Mr. Bernard called gently. She walked toward him, wiping sweat from her forehead with her sleeve. "Sir, you shouldn't be walking in this heat," she said. "I brought someone to meet you," he replied. She looked at the tall man. The man bowed his head slightly. "My name is Ethan." His voice was deep and smooth. Zara nodded stiffly. "Zara." She felt suddenly aware of her torn shirt, her dusty boots, her muscular arms shining with sweat. She folded her arms, trying to hide herself. "This is my son," Mr. Bernard said quietly. Zara's eyes widened. "Your son?" "Yes." She stared between them, the old man with kind eyes and the rich-looking stranger. "You never told me," she said. "I wanted you to know me first," Mr. Bernard replied. Zara shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't help you because of your family." "I know," Ethan said softly. "That's why I wanted to meet you." They stood in silence for a moment, the noise of the city wrapping around them. Ethan looked at her carefully. He saw her muscles, her scars, her worn shoes, but what struck him most was her posture. Straight, unbroken, like someone who refused to bend. "My father told me you carried him to the clinic," Ethan said. Zara shrugged. "He would have died if I didn't. That's not something everyone would do." She met his eyes. "Then everyone should learn." Something in her words stayed with him. Mr. Bernard suggested they walk to a nearby food stall. They sat on plastic chairs under a small umbrella. Zara ordered plain rice with beans. Mr. Bernard ordered the same. Ethan hesitated, then copied them. The vendor looked confused. "Sir, are you sure?" she asked Ethan, glancing at his suit. "Yes," he replied. They ate together. Zara noticed Ethan's hands. They were clean, smooth, and unused to hard work. She noticed how carefully he chewed, as if he had never eaten in a place like this before. "You don't belong here," she said suddenly. Ethan smiled faintly. "I know. Why did you come?" "Because my father talks about you like you are a miracle." She laughed. "I am just a woman with muscles." "Muscles that saved a life," Mr. Bernard said. Zara felt heat rise in her face. After eating, Ethan stood up. "Zara," he said, "I want to offer you a job." She stiffened. "I don't beg. I'm not offering charity." "What kind of job?" "My company has a gym and training center for workers. I need someone strong and disciplined to help train them." She narrowed her eyes. "Why me?" "Because you work hard. Because you protect people. Because you don't look down on anyone." She looked away. "I don't wear shoes like yours," she said quietly. "That doesn't matter. It does to people like you." Ethan shook his head. "It doesn't to me." She folded her arms again, uncertain. "I won't clean floors," she said. "I don't want you to. I won't smile for rich men. I don't want you to. I won't pretend to be small. I don't want you to be." His voice was steady, not proud, not loud. She studied him. You talk like someone who has never slept hungry. He met her gaze. And you talk like someone who has. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Mr. Bernard touched her hand. Try it, my child. Just try. She hesitated. A job meant routine. A job meant waking somewhere that wasn't under a bridge. A job meant people watching her every day. But it also meant food. And dignity. I will try, she said slowly. But if they insult me, I leave. They won't, Ethan replied. And if they do, they answer to me. The next morning, a small car came for her. Zara almost did not get inside. The seat felt too soft. The smell was too clean. At the company building, glass walls reflected the sky. Guards opened the doors. People stared. Is she a boxer? Someone whispered. Is she security? Zara's chest tightened. Ethan met her at the entrance. Walk with me, he said. Inside, everything was bright and cold and smooth. Machines hummed. Shoes clicked. The gym was wide and full of equipment. These men build my company's roads and bridges, Ethan said. They need strength and protection. Zara looked around. This is not my world. Maybe it can be. He introduced her to the workers. This is Zara. She will help train you. Some men laughed. Some stared. One muttered, a woman. Zara lifted a heavy weight from the floor with one hand. Any other questions? No one spoke. During break time, Ethan watched her from the doorway. She corrected posture. She encouraged tired workers. She did not shout. She did not flirt. She simply worked. She was different from every woman he had ever known. Not soft, not decorative, but real. Later, she sat alone on a bench outside, drinking water. Do they scare you? He asked. They judge me, she replied. But I'm used to that. He sat beside her. People judge what they don't understand. She nodded. And fear what they can't control. Their eyes met. For the first time, something warm passed between them. Not love, but recognition. When evening came, Ethan drove her back to the bridge. You could stay somewhere better, he said. I don't trust sudden comfort, she replied. He smiled sadly. Tomorrow. I will come, she said. As she stepped out of the car, she paused. You're not like other rich men, she said. And you're not like other women, he replied. Under the bridge, she lay on her cartons and stared at the road above. For the first time in years, her arms were tired from training, not survival. Somewhere in a tall building, Ethan stood at his window, thinking of the woman with muscles and scars who did not bow to him. And somewhere between hunger and wealth, two lives had touched. Neither of them knew yet that this meeting was not an accident. It was the beginning of a love strong enough to face envy, fear, and revenge. Zara did not believe in soft beginnings. Life had taught her that things started with pain and ended with endurance. Love, to her, was something for women who had time to sit in mirrors and dream. Her life had been about surviving hunger, insults, and cold nights under concrete. So when Ethan began appearing at the gym every morning, she told herself it meant nothing. He did not wear expensive suits there. He came in plain shirts, sleeves rolled up, sometimes trying to lift weights just to make the workers laugh. He spoke to her like she was not different, like she was not strange, like her muscles were not something to whisper about. Your posture is wrong, she told him one morning as he tried to lift a barbell. And you enjoy humiliating me, he replied with a small smile. If I don't correct you, you'll break your back, she said. He lowered the bar, breathing hard. I've built companies, but I can't beat a woman with street muscles. She snorted before she could stop herself. Surprised her. Laughter felt unfamiliar in her chest. Over the weeks, Zara became part of the place. The workers respected her. The guards nodded at her. The cleaners greeted her warmly. She trained men twice her size and never shouted. She showed them how to carry loads without breaking their backs, how to defend themselves if attacked, how to stand with confidence. And Ethan watched, not as a boss, but as a man learning to admire a woman. One afternoon, He noticed her rubbing her shoulder after training. "Does it hurt?" he asked. "Pain is my language," she replied. "That's not something to be proud of. It's something to be honest about." He sat beside her on the bench. "You don't have to be strong all the time." She looked at him sharply. "Yes, I do." "Why?" "Because if I am weak, the world eats me." His chest tightened. He had known struggle, but not like hers. Not the kind that made muscles out of fear. One evening, after work, rain poured suddenly. The workers ran for shelter. Zara stood under the gym roof, watching the rain soak the ground. Ethan walked out with an umbrella. "Let me take you home," he said. She shook her head. "The bridge is not far. You don't belong under a bridge." She turned to him slowly. "Don't say that like it's a shame. It's where I learned to breathe." "I didn't mean." "I know what you meant," she interrupted. "But don't pity me." He hesitated. "Then let me walk with you." She agreed reluctantly. They walked side by side as rain cooled the hot streets. People stared at them. The rich man with polished shoes and the muscular woman with torn boots. "You look uncomfortable," she said. "They look at us like a mistake." "They look at me like that every day," she replied. "That doesn't make it right." She shrugged. "It makes it familiar." They reached the bridge. For the first time, Ethan saw her sleeping place. Flattened cartons, a sack of clothes, a torn jacket hanging on a nail in the wall. His throat closed. "This is where you sleep?" She nodded. "I don't steal," she said quickly. "I don't fight unless I must." "I never thought you did." Silence hung between them. "You can't see this and walk away," he said quietly. She looked at him. "You can't save everything." "I can try." "I don't want to be your project." "You're not." "Then what am I?" He met her eyes. "Someone I care about." The words surprised them both. That night Zara could not sleep. His face stayed in her mind. His voice. The way he had looked at her cartons without disgust. "Care is dangerous," she whispered to herself. But her heart did not agree. Days passed. Their conversations grew longer. They talked about childhood. He told her about boarding schools and lonely birthdays. She told him about fires and hunger and lifting cement at 16. "Did you ever feel ashamed?" he asked gently. "Only when I was younger," she said. "Now, I'm proud I survived." He admired that. One day he brought her clean gym clothes. "I don't wear gifts," she said stiffly. "They're work clothes." She hesitated, then accepted. When she changed into them, she barely recognized herself. The clothes fit her strong body without mocking it. People stared, not in pity, but in respect. She stood taller, and Ethan saw her differently too, not as a rescued woman, but as a woman who belonged anywhere she chose. One evening, Ethan took her to eat at a quiet roadside restaurant. Not fancy, not rich, just simple food. She watched him closely. "You're trying too hard." He smiled. "Maybe." "Why?" "Because I don't want you to feel like I live in another universe." "You do," she said. "But you're trying to visit mine." They ate quietly. When she laughed at something he said, he felt something open in his chest. Not desire. Something deeper. Trouble came silently. A group of women walked past them outside the restaurant. One of them stopped and stared. She was beautiful, tall, wearing a red dress and gold earrings. Her eyes narrowed. "Ethan?" He froze. "Vanessa," he said. Zara felt the shift immediately. The woman looked at Zara's arms, then her face, then her clothes. "So this is what you've been hiding," Vanessa said. Zara straightened. "I'm not hidden." Vanessa laughed. "You don't even know who he is." "I know who I am," Zara replied. Ethan stood up. "Vanessa, this is not your place." "You replaced me with this?" she scoffed. "A gym woman?" Zara stepped back slightly, not in fear, in control. "I don't fight for men," she said. "But I don't bow to women either." Vanessa's smile hardened. "You'll learn." She walked away. Zara turned to Ethan. "That's your past." "Yes. And I am not part of it." "You are part of my present," he said quietly. Her chest tightened. That night, she dreamed of fire again. But this time, someone was standing beside her. The next morning, Ethan came to the gym earlier than usual. He watched her train in silence. When she finished, he said, "I need to tell you something." She wiped sweat from her face. "I don't trust confessions," she said. "I don't want to pretend." He paused. "I like you." She froze. "Don't." "Why?" "Because liking me is trouble. Everything important is." She looked away. "People like you don't fall for people like me. That's a lie the world taught you." She turned to him, anger flashing in her eyes. "You don't know what it means to sleep hungry. You don't know what it means to be loved only for money." He snapped back. Silence fell between them. Slowly, her anger melted into something softer. "We are too different," she said. "And still here," he replied. She whispered, "I don't know how to be loved. I don't know how to love someone like you," he admitted. "But I want to try." Her heart trembled. No man had ever spoken to her like that. Not with fear, not with hunger, but with choice. When she left that evening, she did not go straight to the bridge. She stood on the road and looked back at the building. "I am still strong," she told herself. "But maybe I don't have to be alone." Above her, the sky darkened. And far away, a woman named Vanessa was already planning how to destroy what she could not control. But for now, under a quiet city sky, love had begun where neither of them expected it. Not with kisses, not with promises, but with two people daring to see each other. Vanessa did not believe in losing. She had been raised to win at school, at parties, in love. Her father was a powerful businessman. Her mother taught her that beauty was a weapon and money was armor. Men had always bent for her. Women had always envied her. And Ethan Bernard had once belonged to her. She had imagined her future clearly. Marriage, power, society pages, and a husband who wore tailored suits and spoke her name like it was law. Then she saw him eating by the roadside with a muscular street woman. The image burned in her mind like acid. She is using him, Vanessa told herself as she drove away. People like that always do. But beneath her anger was something worse than jealousy. Humiliation. She could not bear the idea that Ethan had chosen someone who owned nothing. Someone who did not belong in boardrooms or cocktail parties. Someone whose hands were rough and whose body did not fit the shape of beauty she understood. She would not be replaced by that. The next morning, Zara arrived at the gym and sensed it immediately. Something felt wrong. The workers were whispering. A guard avoided her eyes. A cleaner stared at her with curiosity. She walked to the changing area and saw a printed paper stuck to the wall. Theo's new girl. Street woman turned bodyguard. There was a blurry photo of her under the bridge. Her chest tightened. Someone had taken her picture while she slept. Her fingers trembled as she tore it down. She walked into the gym and found more. On the water dispenser, on the wall near the weights, on the door. People pretended not to look at her, but she felt their eyes. By midday, her phone, the cheap one Ethan had helped her buy, began ringing with unknown numbers. When she answered one, a woman's voice laughed softly. "So the bridge girl can answer phones now?" Zara's jaw tightened. "Who is this?" "You don't need to know. You only need to leave what does not belong to you." The line went dead. Zara did not cry at work. She trained harder than usual, lifting heavier weights, correcting the workers sharply. But inside her chest, fear crawled like an insect. That evening, as she walked back to the bridge, two men stepped into her path. They wore dark clothes and smiles that did not reach their eyes. "You're the one disturbing Madame Vanessa," one said. "I disturb nobody," Zara replied calmly. "Leave Ethan Bernard alone," the other said. "Go back to the gutter you came from." Zara stepped closer, her muscles tightening. "Move," she said quietly. They laughed. "You think your muscles scare us?" She grabbed one man's wrist and twisted it just enough to make him cry out. "Next time," she said. "I won't be gentle." They ran, but her hands shook after. Ethan found out that night. He stormed into her space under the bridge without warning. "They threatened you?" he asked angrily. I handled it, she replied. You shouldn't have to. This is my life, Ethan, she said sharply. Danger has always walked beside me. But I brought this danger, he said. Because of me. She looked away. Vanessa is doing this, he continued. I should have warned you. I already met her, Zara said quietly. Silence hung between them. I won't leave, Zara said finally. Not because of her. But I won't hide either. He exhaled slowly. You shouldn't be here anymore. I won't run. Zara. I didn't survive fire to run from a woman with money. He stared at her. And in that moment he saw her not just as strong, but unbreakable. Vanessa watched everything from behind dark glasses. She had paid bloggers. She had paid thugs. She had spread rumors. But the street woman did not fall. So Vanessa changed her plan. She went public. At a charity event filled with cameras and crystal glasses, Vanessa approached Ethan in front of reporters. Are you really dating a homeless woman? She asked loudly. Cameras flashed. Ethan did not hesitate. Yes, he said. And she is better than most people in this room. Gasps rippled through the hall. Vanessa's smile cracked. Later that night, Zara saw her face everywhere online. Billionaire CEO chooses street girl over socialite X. Comments poured in. She must be sleeping with him. What kind of woman looks like that? Money can make anyone confident. Zara read until her chest hurt. She dropped the phone. She walked to the river and stared at the water. Maybe she's right, she whispered. Maybe I don't belong. The attack came the next day. When Zara arrived at work, her locker was broken open. Her few clothes were soaked in dirty water. On the wall, written in red paint, "Go back to the bridge." Her breath caught. Her muscles felt suddenly useless. For the first time since the fire that killed her parents, she wanted to disappear. She went to the bathroom and locked the door. Her reflection stared back at her. Broad shoulders, hard arms, tired eyes. Why does my strength anger people? She whispered. Her phone rang. Ethan. She did not answer. She left the building through the back exit and walked without knowing where she was going. Vanessa met Ethan that afternoon. She stood in his office like she owned it. Call her off, Vanessa said coldly. End it. You crossed a line, he replied. She crossed into my life. You're harassing her. She's harassing society, Vanessa snapped. Look at her. She's a joke. Ethan slammed his desk. She is a woman who saved my father's life. What have you saved? Vanessa's eyes darkened. You think this ends well? She'll drag you down. She's lifting me up. Vanessa laughed bitterly. Then I'll make her drop you. Night found Zara back under the bridge. But this time the bridge felt different. Smaller. Colder. Her cartons were wet. Her jacket was gone. Someone had taken it. She sat with her arms around her knees. Strength doesn't protect the heart, she murmured. Footsteps approached. Ethan. He stopped when he saw her sitting there. He knelt in front of her. They ruined your locker, he said softly. I saw. She did not look at him. I don't want your world, she said quietly. It bites. And I don't want a world where you are afraid, he replied. She finally looked up. They will never stop. Then we won't stop either. Her eyes filled for the first time since he met her. I don't know how to fight this kind of enemy. You don't have to fight alone. He reached for her hand. She let him hold it. I fought hunger. I fought men. I fought cold, she whispered. But I don't know how to fight shame. He squeezed her hand. Then I'll fight it with you. Above them, cars thundered across the bridge. Around them, the city slept. And somewhere in a high apartment, Vanessa stared at a photo of Zara and tore it in half. This was no longer about love. It was about war. The rumors spread faster than disease. By the time Zara reached work the next morning, she could feel them before she heard them. Conversations stopped when she passed. Laughter broke out behind her back. Someone whispered her name like it was a dirty word. She walked with her shoulders high, but inside, her stomach twisted. On the company's internal message board, Someone had posted a link. From bridge to bedroom. How a homeless woman climbed into a billionaire's life. There were pictures of her sleeping under the bridge. Pictures of her carrying scrap metal. Pictures of her walking beside Ethan. Some had been taken secretly. Her hands shook as she scrolled. She's clearly using him. Look at her arms. She's not even feminine. Money really lowers standards. She probably bewitched him. Zara closed the page. Her muscles could lift cars, but they could not lift shame. The first confrontation happened in the gym. A worker she had trained for weeks laughed loudly and said, "Madam, so all this gym work is how you got the CEO, ABI?" The others laughed. Zara froze. She felt heat rush to her face. "I got this job because I work," she said. "Sure," another replied. "Work in the gym, work in his house." Her fists clenched. She could break them easily, but she didn't. She turned away. That hurt more than any punch. Vanessa watched the damage from a distance. Her assistants fed bloggers with stories. She seduced him. She threatened him. She pretended to save his father. Every lie was dressed in fine clothes. Vanessa sipped wine in her apartment and smiled. "She will beg soon," she said. That evening, Zara walked back toward the bridge, but a group of women blocked her path. They wore fashionable clothes and expensive shoes. One stepped forward. "Are you proud of yourself?" Zara stopped. "I'm walking home." "This is not your home anymore," the woman said sharply. "You're embarrassing women." Another added, "Do you think muscles replace class?" Zara stared at them. "I didn't steal anyone's husband," she said quietly. "But you stole someone's place," the first woman replied. Zara stepped aside and walked past them. Her legs felt heavy. The next attack was worse. She arrived at work and saw a crowd at the gate. Reporters. Cameras. A woman shouted, "Is it true you slept with the CEO for a job?" Another voice yelled, "Do you even know how to read?" Zara stopped walking. Her chest felt tight. She tried to push through, but microphones came closer. "How much did he pay you? Where are your parents? Are you pregnant?" Her ears rang. Then Ethan appeared. He stepped between her and the cameras. "Get out," he said coldly. "Now." Security forced them away. Inside the building, Zara leaned against the wall, shaking. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered. "I know," Ethan said softly. "They don't see me," she said. "They see a story." Vanessa struck again that night. A video appeared online. It showed Zara lifting heavy scrap metal from months ago. The caption read, "Before she found a rich man, street worker turned gold digger." Thousands shared it. The comments were poison. "She looks like a man that he should be ashamed. She trapped him." What kind of woman carries metal? Zara sat under the bridge and watched the video on her small phone. She did not recognize herself. Her strength looked ugly on screen. Her survival looked like sin. She threw the phone into the sand. Ethan came later. He found her sitting with her arms around her knees. "They made a video," she said before he could speak. "I know. They turned my past into a joke. They turned your courage into a weapon," he replied. She laughed bitterly. "You can't love someone like me in public." "Why not?" "Because I don't look like what they expect." He crouched in front of her. "I don't love expectations." "I don't belong in your world," she said. "My world belongs where I choose," he replied. She looked at him with tired eyes. "You don't know what it's like to be laughed at for surviving. You don't know what it's like to be loved only for money," he replied quietly. Silence stretched between them. "I'm tired," she whispered. "For the first time in my life, I want to rest, but the world won't let me." The next humiliation came from inside the company. An anonymous letter was sent to the board. The CEO's relationship damages the company image. Investors are concerned. Meetings followed. Faces were serious. Ethan stood firm. "I will not apologize for loving a good person." But the pressure grew. Employees whispered that Zara would be fired. Zara heard it. She packed her few clothes that night. When Ethan arrived, she was waiting for him. "I will leave," she said. "What?" This place will never accept me. I don't need them to accept you. I do, she replied. I don't want to be your shame. You are not my shame. You are choosing me, she said. But the world is punishing you. His chest tightened. I can take it. I can't, she whispered. She tried to walk past him. He held her arm. Don't go back to the bridge. It's the only place that doesn't pretend to like me. Vanessa made one final cruel move. She came to the gym herself. She walked in wearing heels and perfume. Zara was training 2 workers when she felt the room shift. Vanessa clapped slowly. So this is where you pretend to be useful. Zara straightened. You shouldn't be here. I own shares in this company, Vanessa said calmly. I can be anywhere. She walked closer. Tell me, how much does it hurt? Watching the world laugh at you. Zara said nothing. Vanessa leaned closer and whispered, You'll never be enough for him. Zara's hands trembled. You don't know him, she said. I know his world, Vanessa replied. And it will crush you. She turned and left. The gym felt silent after. Zara walked into the bathroom and locked the door. She stared at her reflection. Broad shoulders. Hard arms, a face shaped by struggle. I tried, she whispered. Her knees gave way and she slid down the wall. For the first time in years, she cried. Not loud, not with anger, but with exhaustion. That night, Zara did not go to the bridge. She walked until her legs failed her. She sat by the river and stared at the water. Maybe strength is not enough, she whispered. She thought of her parents, of the fire, of lifting sacks to eat, of carrying Mr. Bernard. She had always survived. But this pain felt different. It was not hunger. It was rejection. Footsteps approached. Ethan. He sat beside her. I couldn't find you, he said. She did not answer. I won't choose a world that hurts you, he said. She turned to him slowly. And I won't be the woman who breaks your world, she replied. They sat in silence as water flowed past them. 2 people trapped between love and fear. And somewhere in the city, Vanessa smiled at her phone. She's breaking, she said. But she was wrong. Zara was not breaking. She was changing. And change, when mixed with pain, becomes something dangerous. Ethan had always believed power meant control. Control of markets. Control of contracts. Control of numbers and people and futures. But standing beside the river that night, watching Zara stare at the dark water like she might disappear into it, he realized something painful. He had never learned how to fight for a person. Not like this. You don't have to disappear, he said softly. Zara did not look at him. Disappearing is easier than fighting the whole world. The world is loud, he replied. But it's not always right. She hugged her knees closer to her chest. I am tired of being a headline, she whispered. Tired of being laughed at. Tired of proving I deserve to breathe. He reached for her hand. Let me prove it for you. She finally turned to him. You don't understand. They don't hate me because of what I did. They hate me because of what I am. A woman who survived? A woman who doesn't look like their dream, she replied. Ethan swallowed. And I don't look like the man they want anymore, he said. But I choose you. Her eyes widened slightly. You don't choose fire and then complain about heat, she said. They will come harder. Then I will stand harder. For the first time in days, something like hope flickered in her eyes. The next morning, Ethan did not go to the office. He went to his lawyers. Vanessa's name sat on every file. Defamation, threats, harassment, false reporting. She crossed too many lines, the lead lawyer said. We can stop her. I don't want to silence her, Ethan replied. I want the truth to speak. They prepared documents. Orders were filed. Warnings were sent. That afternoon, Vanessa received a letter with a golden seal. Her smile faded as she read it. Legal nonsense, she scoffed, but something in her chest tightened. At the office, Ethan called an emergency meeting. The board sat stiffly around the long table. I know you're worried about public image, he said calmly. So let's talk about it. One man cleared his throat. Your relationship is controversial. Because she is poor? Because she doesn't fit. Fit what? Ethan interrupted. Your idea of what a woman should look like? Silence fell. She saved my father's life, he continued. She works harder than most of you. If that damages this company's image, then the image is rotten. Some faces shifted uncomfortably. I will not fire her, he said. I will not hide her, and I will not apologize. That evening, Zara waited outside the gym. She thought he had forgotten her. When he arrived, his face was serious but calm. Come with me, he said. To where? To the truth. He drove her to a large hall filled with cameras and people. A press conference. Zara froze. I can't do this. You don't have to speak, he said gently. Just stand. She wanted to run, but she remembered the river. She walked inside. Flashes exploded. People gasped. Is that her? That's the street woman. Ethan stood in front of the microphones. My name is Ethan Bernard, he began. And today I want to correct a lie. The room quieted. The woman beside me did not chase me, did not trick me, did not plan anything. He turned to Zara. She saved my father's life. She works honestly, and she never asked me for money. Murmurs rose. She did not choose this attention, he continued. I did, and I will not let anyone turn her survival into shame. Zara's hands shook. I love her, he said. The word hit the room like thunder. Vanessa watched the broadcast from her living room. Her glass slipped from her fingers. Reporters shouted questions. Are you saying your ex-girlfriend lied? I am saying the truth has been buried under money and pride. Will you marry her? Ethan looked at Zara. Not as a CEO, as a man. One day, he said. Zara's breath caught. That night, they sat in his car in silence. You didn't have to say love, she whispered. I didn't have to hide it either. She stared out the window. They will hate me more. Let them, he replied. Hate is loud, but it doesn't last. She turned to him slowly. I don't want to be brave, she said. I want to be normal. Normal is overrated, he smiled sadly. Peace is better. Vanessa did not find peace. She stormed into Ethan's office the next day. You humiliated me. You humiliated yourself, he replied calmly. She is nothing. She is everything you never were, he said quietly. Vanessa's face twisted. You chose her over your world? I chose her over fear. She laughed bitterly. She will leave you. She already tried, he replied. But I stood. Vanessa's eyes filled with rage. You think this is over? It is, he said. Legally and emotionally. Security escorted her out. For the first time in her life, Vanessa was not obeyed. Zara's world did not change overnight. People still stared. Some still whispered. But something shifted. Cleaner hugged her at work. You're strong, she said. Not just your body. A young girl stopped her outside. I want to be like you, she said. Not afraid. Zara went home that night to her cartons under the bridge. Ethan found her packing them. I can't sleep here anymore, she said. Come with me, he said. Not as a guest. As what? As someone I choose. She hesitated. The bridge had been her shield, but it had also been her cage. She took his hand. Vanessa watched another headline appear. CEO fights for street woman, ex faces lawsuit. She threw her phone. She took everything, she whispered. But what she did not understand was this. Zara had taken nothing. She had only been chosen. That night, Zara stood in a clean room with white walls. A bed waited for her. A door she could close. A window she could open. She touched the wall. I don't know how to live here, she said. You'll learn, Ethan replied. Like you learned to survive. She sat on the bed and laughed softly. Do you know what scares me most? What? That one day, this will feel normal. He smiled. That's called healing. She looked at him. And if they come again? They will, he said. But they won't find you alone. Outside, the city continued to judge, whisper, and watch. But inside that room, a homeless muscular woman who once slept under a bridge and a billionaire CEO who once lived in glass towers had chosen each other, and the war that Vanessa started was slowly turning into a battle she could not win. Zara did not sleep the first night. The bed was too soft. The room was too quiet. The walls were too clean. She lay on her back, staring at the ceiling, listening for sounds that were not there. No engines above her head, no shouting drunk men, no sudden footsteps. Her body kept waiting for danger. "You can rest," she whispered to herself. But her muscles did not believe her. At dawn, she rose and stood barefoot on the tiled floor. The cold surprised her. She touched the curtain, then the chair, then the mirror. The mirror startled her most. She was used to seeing herself in broken glass and water puddles, distorted, unfinished. Now her full body stood in front of her. Broad shoulders, strong arms, a body built from hunger and work. She looked like someone who had carried the world. And now, she looked like someone who had arrived somewhere safe. Ethan found her in the kitchen later, staring at the kettle like it might attack her. "You don't know how to use it," he said gently. She shook her head. "Fire is easier." He laughed softly and showed her how to turn it on. The sound of boiling water made her flinch. "You don't have to be afraid of comfort," he said. She looked at him. "Comfort is what comes before loss." He paused. "Then we'll protect it together." The first week felt like walking in borrowed shoes. Ethan's house was not a palace. It was simple but elegant. Wide windows, wooden floors, quiet hallways, no servants walking around, just silence and space. Zara cleaned every morning without being asked. She folded blankets too tightly. She lined shoes too straight. She kept her bag packed by the door. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked one day. "Preparing," she replied. "For what?" "For when this ends." He took her bag and placed it inside the wardrobe. "This isn't a shelter," he said. "It's a home." The word home made her chest ache. She continued working at the gym, but now people treated her differently. Some were respectful. Some were careful. Some were afraid. "You live in the CEO's house now," one worker whispered. "I still sweat like you," Zara replied. She trained harder than before. She started wearing proper gym clothes that fit her body instead of hiding it. For the first time, she saw admiration in people's eyes instead of mockery. A young woman approached her after training one day. "Madam Zara, I like your arms." Zara blinked. "You do?" "Yes, they look like protection." No one believed it at first. When the news broke that Ethan Bernard was getting married to the former homeless woman he had defended on national television, the city reacted like it had heard a joke. "It won't last. It's publicity. She trapped him. She doesn't belong in that life." But Zara did not read the comments. She was too busy learning how to breathe in a white dress. The dress hung from the wardrobe like something borrowed from heaven. It was simple. No heavy stones, no wild design. Just clean white fabric that showed her strong arms and broad shoulders without trying to hide them. The tailor had asked, "Do you want sleeves to cover your arms?" Zara had answered quietly, "No, my arms carried me here." Now she stood in front of the mirror, barefoot, touching the cloth like it might vanish. "This is not for me," she whispered. The woman beside her smiled. It was the cleaner from the company building, the same one who had hugged her. "It is exactly for you," the woman said. "You are just not used to being celebrated." Zara swallowed hard. Ethan had wanted a grand wedding. Hotels, cameras, celebrities. Zara had wanted none of it. So they chose the sea, a quiet beach outside the city. Soft sand, blue sky, waves whispering instead of people shouting. White chairs were arranged in rows. Flowers lined the path like gentle soldiers. The air smelled of salt and peace. Mr. Bernard sat in the front row, wrapped in a light shawl, his eyes shining. "My son married the right woman," he kept saying. "One who knows how to lift." Ethan stood near the water, dressed in a simple cream suit. He did not look like a billionaire that day. He looked like a man waiting for something precious. When Zara arrived, the music changed. People turned. She walked slowly along the sand, her bare feet sinking gently into the earth. For the first time in her life, no one stared in disgust. They stared in wonder. Her muscles were visible. Her scars were uncovered. Her head was held high. A woman whispered, "She looks like a warrior bride." And she was. When she reached Ethan, he forgot the world existed. "You're beautiful," he said softly. She smiled nervously. "Don't faint." He laughed quietly. The officiating man cleared his throat and began to speak about love, choice, and courage. But Zara was not listening. She was thinking of the bridge, of cartons, of hunger, of rain. She was thinking of the old man she had carried, of the job, of the insults, of Vanessa. She was thinking, I survived everything to stand here. Do you, Zara, take Ethan? Her voice came out steady. I do. Not because of money. Not because of rescue. But because he had chosen her when the world tried to erase her. When Ethan said his vows, his voice shook. I choose the woman who lifted my father. I choose the woman who does not bow. I choose the woman who taught me strength. Tears filled Zara's eyes. They kissed as waves crashed behind them. And for a moment the world stopped arguing. Vanessa watched the wedding online. She had told herself she didn't care. But her hands trembled as she held her phone. The muscular woman in white was laughing. The billionaire was smiling. People were clapping. She was nothing, Vanessa whispered, but the image refused to disappear. For the first time, Vanessa felt something close to loss. Not love, but defeat. After the ceremony, there was no loud party, no fireworks, just food, music, and dancing on sand. The women from the bridge came. They stood awkwardly at first, wearing borrowed clothes. Zara ran to them. You came. You are ours, an old woman said. Even if you married the sea. They laughed. Ethan watched her hug them, and his chest tightened. This was not a woman who climbed alone. This was a woman who carried others with her. Later, Zara changed into a light dress and sat near the fire pit. Mr. Bernard came and sat beside her. My daughter, he said softly. She blinked. You never called me that before. You were already one, he replied. You carried me like blood. She bowed her head. If I didn't fall that day, he continued, I would never have known you. And if you didn't fall, Zara said gently, I would still be under the bridge. They both smiled. Ethan found her alone near the water later. Are you running away already? He teased. She shook her head. I'm remembering. Remembering what? That this almost didn't happen. He stood beside her. People think weddings are about clothes and rings, she said. But this one is about choice. I chose you, he replied, and I chose not to hide. She looked at him. Promise me something. What? If the world ever turns again. We turned toward each other. He took her hands. I promise. The headlines came the next day. Billionaire marries former homeless woman. A love story that defied class. Some praised them. Some mocked them. Some learned from them. Zara did not care. She woke up in a bed beside a man who did not see her past as shame. She woke up as a wife. Not because she had changed her body. Not because she had changed her face. But because someone had seen her soul. Vanessa closed her laptop and sat in silence. She won, she whispered. But deep inside, she knew. Zara had not won over her. Zara had won over the world's idea of worth. That night, Zara stood in the mirror again. But this time, she did not see a street woman. She saw a survivor, a protector, a wife. She touched her arms and smiled. They carried me here, she said softly. Ethan wrapped his arms around her from behind. And now they carry us forward. Outside, the sea whispered its approval. No one believed it at first. When the news broke that Ethan Bernard was getting married to the former homeless woman he had defended on national television, the city reacted like it had heard a joke. It won't last. It's publicity. She trapped him. She doesn't belong in that life. But Zara did not read the comments. She was too busy learning how to breathe in a white dress. The dress hung from the wardrobe like something borrowed from heaven. It was simple. No heavy stones, no wild design. Just clean white fabric that showed her strong arms and broad shoulders without trying to hide them. The tailor had asked, "Do you want sleeves to cover your arms?" Zara had answered quietly, "No, my arms carried me here." Now she stood in front of the mirror, barefoot, touching the cloth like it might vanish. "This is not for me," she whispered. The woman beside her smiled. It was the cleaner from the company building, the same one who had hugged her. "It is exactly for you," the woman said. "You are just not used to being celebrated." Zara swallowed hard. Ethan had wanted a grand wedding. Hotels, cameras, celebrities. Zara had wanted none of it. So they chose the sea, a quiet beach outside the city. Soft sand, blue sky, waves whispering instead of people shouting. White chairs were arranged in rows. Flowers lined the path like gentle soldiers. The air smelled of salt and peace. Mr. Bernard sat in the front row, wrapped in a light shawl, his eyes shining. "My son married the right woman," he kept saying. "One who knows how to lift." Ethan stood near the water, dressed in a simple cream suit. He did not look like a billionaire that day. He looked like a man waiting for something precious. When Zara arrived, the music changed. People turned. She walked slowly along the sand, her bare feet sinking gently into the earth. For the first time in her life, no one stared in disgust. They stared in wonder. Her muscles were visible. Her scars were uncovered. Her head was held high. A woman whispered, "She looks like a warrior bride." And she was. When she reached Ethan, he forgot the world existed. "You're beautiful," he said softly. She smiled nervously. "Don't faint." He laughed quietly. The officiating man cleared his throat and began to speak about love, choice, and courage. But Zara was not listening. She was thinking of the bridge, of cartons, of hunger, of rain. She was thinking of the old man she had carried, of the job, of the insults, of Vanessa. She was thinking, "I survived everything to stand here. Do you, Zara, take Ethan?" Her voice came out steady. "I do. Not because of money. Not because of rescue. But because he had chosen her when the world tried to erase her." When Ethan said his vows, his voice shook. "I choose the woman who lifted my father. I choose the woman who does not bow. I choose the woman who taught me strength." Tears filled Zara's eyes. They kissed as waves crashed behind them. And for a moment the world stopped arguing. Vanessa watched the wedding online. She had told herself she didn't care. But her hands trembled as she held her phone. The muscular woman in white was laughing. The billionaire was smiling. People were clapping. "She was nothing," Vanessa whispered. But the image refused to disappear. For the first time, Vanessa felt something close to loss. Not love, but defeat. After the ceremony, there was no loud party, no fireworks, just food, music, and dancing on sand. The women from the bridge came. They stood awkwardly at first, wearing borrowed clothes. Zara ran to them. "You came. You are ours," an old woman said. "Even if you married the sea." They laughed. Ethan watched her hug them, and his chest tightened. This was not a woman who climbed alone. This was a woman who carried others with her. Later, Zara changed into a light dress and sat near the fire pit. Mr. Bernard came and sat beside her. "My daughter," he said softly. She blinked. "You never called me that before." "You were already one," he replied. "You carried me like blood." She bowed her head. "If I didn't fall that day," he continued, "I would never have known you. And if you didn't fall," Zara said gently, "I would still be under the bridge." They both smiled. Ethan found her alone near the water later. "Are you running away already?" he teased. She shook her head. "I'm remembering." "Remembering what?" "That this almost didn't happen." He stood beside her. "People think weddings are about clothes and rings," she said. "But this one is about choice." "I chose you," he replied, "and I chose not to hide." She looked at him. "Promise me something." "What?" "If the world ever turns again, we turn toward each other." He took her hands. "I promise." The headlines came the next day. Billionaire marries former homeless woman, a love story that defied class. Some praised them. Some mocked them. Some learned from them. Zara did not care. She woke up in a bed beside a man who did not see her past as shame. She woke up as a wife. Not because she had changed her body. Not because she had changed her face. But because someone had seen her soul. Vanessa closed her laptop and sat in silence. She won, she whispered. But deep inside, she knew. Zara had not won over her. Zara had won over the world's idea of worth. That night, Zara stood in the mirror again. But this time, she did not see a street woman. She saw a survivor, a protector, a wife. She touched her arms and smiled. They carried me here, she said softly. Ethan wrapped his arms around her from behind. And now they carry us forward. Outside, the sea whispered its approval. Marriage did not change Zara's muscles. It changed her mornings. She woke up beside Ethan and listened to the quiet instead of engines. The bed no longer felt like a trap. It felt like a place that waited for her. Sometimes she still woke suddenly, heart racing, thinking she was under the bridge again. But then she would feel Ethan's hand on her back and remember. I crossed it. Do you still dream of the road? He asked one morning. Yes, she admitted. But now the road ends somewhere. Life after the wedding did not become perfect. People still stared when they walked together. Some still whispered. Some still doubted. But Zara no longer folded into herself. She walked with her shoulders open. Her muscles were no longer armor alone. They were a statement. They moved into a house close to the city but not inside its noise. Zara planted vegetables in the small garden. I like to see things grow, she said. After carrying so much weight, you choose soil? Ethan teased. Soil listens, she replied. Zara kept her promise to herself. She did not forget the bridge. The shelter she had dreamed of slowly became real. With Ethan's support and her direction, an old warehouse was turned into a safe place for women and children who lived on the streets. She named it the Lift House. Why that name? A reporter asked. Because someone lifted me once, Zara said. Now I lift others. She taught women how to defend themselves, how to carry loads safely, how to stand tall. Some cried when they looked at her. You look like us, one woman said. I was you, Zara replied. Ethan learned a different kind of leadership. He stopped being a man who only signed papers. He visited the shelter. He listened to stories. One night he said, I built companies, but you build people. Zara smiled. People built me. They learned each other slowly. Ethan learned that silence did not mean peace. Zara learned that comfort did not mean danger. Sometimes they argued. You give too much, Ethan said once. You protect too much, she replied. But they never walked away. They sat. They talked. They chose again. Vanessa disappeared from the headlines. She moved cities, changed circles, changed faces, but the bitterness stayed. One day, by accident, Zara saw her at an airport. Vanessa was thinner, quieter, alone. For a moment, Zara felt something strange. Not anger, not triumph, pity. Vanessa looked at her and turned away. Zara did not follow. Some battles did not need winning anymore. One evening, Mr. Bernard visited their home. He sat in the garden watching Zara water plants. You used to lift me with these arms, he said. Now you grow things. She laughed softly. I still lift, Papa. He smiled. Yes, just differently. He held Ethan's shoulder. You found the right woman. Ethan replied. She found me too. Zara's body changed slowly. Not smaller. Stronger in a new way. Her muscles softened where they could. Her posture grew gentler. But her power did not leave. It learned peace. She no longer feared mirrors. She looked at herself and saw a timeline. Scars from fire. Marks from work. Lines from love. Each told a story. The city learned her name. Not as the homeless woman, but as Zara Bernard, founder of Lift House. Children came to her classes. Can girls be strong? One asked. Girls already are, Zara said. Can boys cry? Another asked. Yes, Ethan answered from the door. They laughed. One night, Zara stood on the balcony and watched traffic. The bridge looks small from here, she said. Ethan came behind her. It was never small, he replied. You were just bigger than it. She leaned against him. I thought strength was carrying pain. And now, strength is choosing joy without guilt. He kissed her temple. They did not have a perfect life. They had a real one. Sometimes money caused problems. Sometimes fame caused problems. Sometimes memories caused problems. But love was not their reward. It was their work. They worked at it every day. Years later, Zara returned alone to the bridge. Not to sleep, to stand. She placed a small plaque there. From here a life was lifted. People passing by did not know the story. But she did. She closed her eyes and breathed. I didn't disappear, she whispered. I became. That night, Ethan asked her, if you could change one thing, what would it be? She thought of hunger. Of rain. Of being laughed at. Then she shook her head. If it didn't hurt, she said, I wouldn't know how to heal. He held her hand. And if you hadn't healed, I wouldn't know how to love. The world continued to talk. But Zara and Ethan continued to live. Not as a miracle. Not as a scandal. But as two people who crossed a bridge together. And in that crossing, they proved something the world had forgotten. That strength is not in money. Not in beauty. Not in power. It is in the heart that chooses kindness when it could choose bitterness. It is in the hands that lift when they could push away. It is in love that stands when the world sits and stares. Thanks for watching.